Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. We are back after last night's Saturday night reaction to all 8 matchups across the board. It's time. It's time to give you the power rankings after a week. I mean, we're heading into the 4th game. Again, you always know, guys, I break up this conference play in 6 different 3-game pods. Again, you go 12-6, you go 2-1 in those 6 3-game pods. You have a chance to have a really good opportunity to go compete for the league. Obviously, still some road games and whatnot. But, man, we're in a good spot here. We got some good vibes with these teams. 3-game sample size sitting here for you. We're going to talk some net rankings, the record this week, overall record, conference record. But before we're getting right into it, 16th. But before we do, this SEC basketball power rankings is presented by GameTime. Download the GameTime app and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, it's college basketball season. It's any kind of event, your favorite comedian, anything, guys. Why wouldn't you go use our guys at GameTime app? I just recently moved to Atlanta. I used that for the Braves games this past fall a couple of times when me and my wife and my son went. So phenomenal time across the board. Never had a bad experience with our buddies at GameTime. And tell them your friends over at SEC Unfiltered sent you. Go use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. But let's get to it, guys. Starting at 16 all the way through 1, the SEC basketball power rankings as of January 12th. Coming in at number 16, this may surprise some people. I'm going to go with the LSU Fighting Tigers. 0-2 this past week. In 11-5 overall, 0-3 in conference play, 69th in net. And their net's is rated higher than South Carolina right now, but I just don't see a lot of wins accumulating here for Matt McMahon's squad. It's tough to me to envision many wins from this team across the board in league play. And I don't think it's a bad basketball team. I think same with South Carolina. He went 0-2 this week on the road against Missouri, lost to Ole Miss. It's the Jordan Sears, Cam Carter show. And, I mean, Victorious Miller, as you may as well. I mean, Damian Collins is at times at fine. It's just there's not a lot of bucket getters. They lost Jalen Reed. I don't see a lot of wins. I mean, you look at the schedule coming up. There's just not turnover. It's death, taxes, and turnovers for Matt McMahon's squad. They got a trip. They play Arkansas at home, A&M, and Alabama their next 3. I don't see them getting a lot of those either. It's tough for Matt McMahon and them in this situation. It's just, I don't know, they're better, but the league everyone else has gotten better at the same time, and it's hard to go accumulate wins when that's happening as well. So, in my opinion, I think the LSU Tigers come in at 16th this week. Speaking of 15th, here we go. I compared them a little bit to this team. The South Carolina Gamecocks coming in at 15th this week. They finished 0-2 this week, losing Alabama in a narrow loss to Auburn. 12-6 across the board, 0-3 in league play, 90th in KenPom. 90th in net rankings. In net rankings across the board from that perspective. I mean, South Carolina, again, they were down 2 starters against this Auburn team. Auburn lost Jani Brim. Interesting game, weird game on the road. South Carolina's gotten blown out twice in league play. Alabama and Mississippi State, again, could have won the game yesterday. I don't dislike – I mean, Colin Murray Bowles is playing well. They can play with anybody. I don't know if they can beat anybody, but they can be in games in the last 12 minutes of the game. I'll say that. Jamari Thomas is fine. Jacoby Wright. Nick Pringle, outside of the 2 missed clutch free throws yesterday, could have won them the game at Colonial Life Arena. Was it bad? What's the long-term effect of Miles Stute? I mean, the blood costs and stuff like that, that hurt. I thought he was a guy who was going to have to really step up for them this year. Again, not a lot of weapons for Lamont Paris's team in his 3rd year. I think people, again, I should say, nobody overrated them. Everybody had them in the bottom 4 of the league. I had them finishing last. I don't hate where I have them. I really don't. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, how could you have them? How could you have South Carolina any higher? I mean, let's be honest. Again, not a lot of wins, I think, coming up for this team. I don't really like being like that. But Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Florida, you could get Vanderbilt potentially, but at Memorial, probably get Vanderbilt the edge. The whole question is, where does South Carolina finish in the ACC this year? I think that's a fair question. Where would they finish? Again, obviously better, maybe mid ACC. I don't know. Just this SEC is so good. It's an all-time great. Just average to below average teams are just not going to accumulate a lot of wins in this league, especially in the road. So I got the Gamecocks coming in at 15th. Impressed with their effort and grittiness yesterday, especially down 2 starters against Auburn. But again, I just don't see a lot of wins coming up. So I got the Gamecocks coming in at 15th. Number 14th, the Texas Longhorns coming in. 0-2 this past week, 11-5 overall, 0-3 in league play. Remember, we got 7 0-3 teams, folks. 49th in net. I mean, really, for this team, I mean, Rodney Terry, it's the Arthur Kaluma, Trey Johnson show. If they aren't playing well, They're just not going to win a lot of games. There's not really much offense or good sets being ran. It's just, hey, it's hero ball. Let's go get a bucket. You saw it twice this week. I mean, you saw it Arthur Kaluma against Auburn on Wednesday night. You saw it Trey Johnson last night against Tennessee. You just not a lot of consistency. I think Caden Shedrick played better than I thought he would this week. I just don't know where the wins accumulate. Again, it's kind of similar to that. A must win at Oklahoma. It's a battle of 0-3 teams there. I just don't know what the ultimate floor of this team is. And as the weeks keep going, it's starting to be like, man, are they going to be that team? Because I always thought someone was going to falter as league play started. Someone's going to falter. The wins are going to start to accumulate. Some teams are going to find themselves on the bubble and potentially the wrong side of the bubble. That's where I'm at with Texas right now. Must win on Wednesday at Oklahoma for whatever reason. That game's tipped off at like 10 p.m. Eastern. But must win for Rodney Terry's team. It's just I don't like the defensive sets right now at home. Yeah, they could beat anybody, I think, on a given day. I mean, we saw them compete with Auburn at the end. Saw them compete with Tennessee. I just don't see the consistency with this team across the board. But moving to number 13, the Arkansas Razorbacks, folks. The Arkansas Razorbacks come at 13, 0-2 this past week, 11-5 overall, 0-3 in league play, 49 in the net rankings. You could have maybe made a case for Texas being a little – it could have been over the Razorbacks here. But, I mean, again, you can't start 0-3. They have the talent to come back. Must win at LSU. It's just – right now there's just not a lot going on. I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure on Boogie Flan and Adu Thero. Really, Boogie Flan is a true freshman point guard. You were putting a lot of pressure on to go be that dude. Where's Nellie Davis? Where's Janelle Davis? Where's he been all year? Just non-existent. DJ Wagner, they're not getting a lot from. Big Z, they haven't really got a lot from since the Illinois game. Adu Thero, Boogie Flan leading the squad. Outside of that, really not much left, guys. Really not much left. The game in Baton Rouge at the PMAC is a must-win for Arkansas heading into this game. Look, you can hear my son crying in the background. My wife, he doesn't even like where I have the Razorbacks or how disappointed they've been. Overall, though, you got it. You just have to be accepting of this is where this team is right now. Again, did we think they would be better heading into this first year with John Calipari? Absolutely. I finished second in the league. Just disappointing, but must win on the road. I don't know how you could have them ranked much higher as we stand right now. Coming in at 12th, the Oklahoma Sooners, folks. 0-2 this week, 13-3 overall, 0-3. They've taken a downfall since the start of conference play, which I think was kind of to be somewhat expected. Maybe not 0-3, but definitely 1-2, maybe, especially you opened up Alabama, A&M, and Georgia. Probably wish you would have got one of them, especially that A&M game with Wade Taylor being out for A&M and you blowing the 18-point lead. But I mean, I think Oklahoma can turn this round and get to the 7-11, 8-10. They're going to be in the tournament. Must win for both them and Texas, and they get South Carolina at home. They could go 3-0 this week. Legitimately, have to go 2-1. But I mean, you've had to follow back. I mean, I think at one point they got up to 6 for us in these rankings, dropped almost half of that. I mean, so they're 12th. Again, I think two things to be true at once. This was an improved team, much more improved. I don't even think Porter Moser would tell you they expected what they got out of Jeremiah Fears. But it's improved. At the same time, this isn't a team. I think how difficult this league is having its effect on them as well. They're improved, but how much improved? I don't know. Is it going to be enough to go make it to the NCAA tournament? I think 8 wins can do them in for the Sooners, but a lot is going to have to change. I mean, it's Jeremiah Fears, Jalen Moore, you got Kobe Elvis, Duke Miles. I think the front court defense sometimes is going to be an issue. Again, and I like what Sam Godwin does in that front court, but he's the lone soldier out there. Muhammad Wagee isn't a great defender. He can get some of those out in that dunker spot off guard penetrators. He can get some buckets there. But no, overall, Oklahoma, a good basketball team, better than we thought. Still not great, but they come in at number 12. Number 11, the Vanderbilt Commodores, Mark Byington squad rolling into this one. The Doors roll into this week, or they finish this week 0-2, dropping to Mississippi State and at Missouri. 13-3 overall, 1-2 in league play, 43 overall in net for the Commodores. Again, Vanderbilt's kind of that same team. They're definitely improved in Mark Byington's first year, especially coming up from Jerry Stackhouse. But like, where the league's going to collect? Where the wins are going to collect in the league, I should say. They get South Carolina at home on Wednesday, Tennessee at home, and then at Alabama. I mean, you'd be fired up to go 1-2 off that, if I'm being honest, man. I mean, maybe you could sneak up on Tennessee at home. I don't know. There's just – again, it's going to be hard. I keep saying this, and I probably sound like a broken record, but you're just outside of Jason Edwards, A.J. Hogard, like Devin McLaughlin, Tyler Nickel can hit some open shots at times. Like, this is an improved basketball team, but I just don't see a lot of wins. I hate saying that, but it's a compliment to the league. I mean, it really is. Rebounding will be consistent, will be an issue for this team in the front court. Again, I told you, ever since they got out rebounded by Jackson State and Mo Williams, this team, it's concerned me. Got to get my green tea here, baby, to talk about Mark Byington and the boys. But Mark Byington, 11-11. I don't think Vanderbilt fans are going to complain much about that. I mean, I think it's fine. You're improved. Just this league, it's a gauntlet. It's like crossing the Oregon Trail, folks. I mean, it is a total gauntlet this year. Coming in at number 10, a team that just beat them, Missouri, Dennis Gates and the boys. They're not going winless this year in league play, obviously. 2-1 sitting right now, but 2-0 this week, 13-3, 2-1 this week, like I mentioned, 34 in the net rankings. I mean, I kind of like where this team is a little bit. I mean, I kind of like where they are going into this next week's action. 3 big games coming up. Florida on the road, Arkansas at home, at Texas. Home games, I like Missouri. I think they can be dangerous against anybody. You can say that about a lot of teams. Road games is where they're going to have to go earn their stripes here. I mean, it's Mark Mitchell, Tamar Bates, Anthony Robinson have been consistent. But, I mean, just overall, though, I mean, just getting out the defensive rebounding is bad on them. They give up a lot of offensive boards. Again, the front courts against the Vanderbilts, Missouris of the world, it's going to be scary. And I think they can hold for about 8 minutes against a lot of these teams. But can they finish the job? They can definitely go compete on these surface levels, these Vanderbilts, Missouris of the world. It's just, can they go finish the job and get the win? Because I think rebounding is going to be so important in this league. I mean, we saw an ultimate war yesterday in the A&M Alabama game last night. You have to be able to rebound if you're going to win this league. And again, I know Missouri's like, we're trying to win the league, but that's not a realistic goal. I just don't know if they can finish a lot of these deals. It'll be interesting to see if they can get to 8. They can get to 8 wins here. I like how they're playing. I think they can go get one here in these, maybe 2 in these stretches. You get Arkansas at home, maybe still one at the Moody against Texas. At Florida is going to be hard, but still, I like where Missouri is in this one. They can be a dangerous team at home, steal some wins, but that defensive rebounding could hold them back potentially. Coming in at number 9, the Georgia Bulldogs. Mike White and the boys, baby, his best team he has had so far. Georgia finished 2-0 this week, 14-2 overall, 2-0, 2-1 in league play. Only loss coming to Ole Miss, 26 in the net rankings for Mike White's third-year team. I mean, it's a good basketball team, guys. I mean, Silas Demery, Ace Newell, Dakota LaFou, and he's going. I like what Blue Kane's doing. Tyron Lawrence. I like R.J. Godfrey, the transfer in the front court from Clemson. Next 3, Tennessee, Auburn. Arkansas's away, too. 2 out of the 3's away. You get Auburn at home. Auburn at home on Saturday is key because you don't know what the Janai Broome injury is going to look like in any road game in this league, especially at Stegman. It's going to be difficult. It's more of a winnable game than we're just looking at on the surface level. Like Kim Pom right now has got it as a 22% chance of winning for Georgia at home. He doesn't bake in the Janai Broome injury from that perspective. So we'll see from there. I like what Georgia's team does. I think they're a secure lock in this in the NCAA tournament right now, where they sit 2-1. If they get to 8, they need 6 more wins. They're in. I like where they sit in these rankings. 9th is a good spot. If I'm a Georgia fan, I like where I'm at because you're in striking distance. If you can go steal one on the road at Arkansas, maybe get one at home. At Tennessee is going to be difficult. And Tennessee ain't been playing their best. They're going to turn it on at some point. It's kind of how the way Tennessee is. 1 and 2, you're not disappointed because it's Tennessee and Auburn, but you need to go get that one on the road at Arkansas. It's just unfortunately on the road, but you got to like where you're sitting in your third year for Mike White. This is his best team. I think it's about where we all thought they would be a little bit. They're improved, but I think we all thought they were that kind of fringe 9th, 10th spot from the bubble going into the season for the SEC. Coming in at number 8, the Ole Miss Rebels. Chris Beard's squad coming in 2-0 this week, 14-2 overall, 3-0 in the SEC, 22 in the net rankings for Chris Beard's squad. They got a big week coming up. They go to Alabama on Tuesday, a first-place showdown. Both teams undefeated in league play right now. Do pull up Ole Miss. And then they head to Mississippi State at the Humphrey Coliseum at the Hump on Saturday, and then Texas A&M at home. It's a tough 3-game stretch. 2 of them on the road. They're road warriors this week at Alabama, at Mississippi State, host Texas A&M their next few. But they're sitting well. I mean, you had to win those first 2 out of 3 at home, Georgia, LSU at home, and you won the big game on the road against Arkansas. You like where they're sitting. I think this is going to be an NCAA tournament team. Just got to get that consistency at a Matthew Morrell. You like what Malik Diaz bringing. You kind of like Jamin Brakefield starting to come on a little bit. Sean Padula is that consistent threat. How do they go play against good teams on the road? We're going to find out this week. I mean, Ole Miss is probably floor is probably about the same where it is. Maybe they could drop to 9th going into next week's rankings. High ceiling for Chris Beard's squad if they can go get one this week, either in Tuscaloosa or Oxford. They have a big week ahead. The Road Warriors, I'm going to be looking at them hard. They have a good team. It's an NCAA tournament team at all. They can just go in some funks. You want to see more consistency out of Matthew Morrell. They're paying you the big bucks. Now, they need you to go operate and produce, not taking a line from our guy Rick Barnes. But, yeah, they need them to go produce. Same with Brakefield. Big week for Chris Beard and them. A lot of opportunity here in that. Speaking of Mississippi State, coming in at number 7 for me, even in a loss last night to Kentucky. Mississippi State comes in at 7th at 1-1 this week. The one loss to Kentucky, the road win at Vanderbilt. 14-2 overall, though, 2-1 in league play, 16th in net rankings for Chris Jans and the boys. Their next 3, Auburn away this week. First game without Janai Broome for Auburn. We'll see. Who knows? Ole Miss at home and then at Tennessee. So Mississippi State would be thrilled to go 2-1 from that stretch. But it's a tough 3-game stretch, but they all are, folks. It's Josh Hubbard, Cam Matthews, Keshawn Murphy. I think the X factor, if they can get Riley Kugel going, that will be key. I think you know what you're going to get with RJ Melendez. You know what you're going to get with Josh Hubbard from not that RJ Melendez is one of the best players in the league, like Hubbard, but I'm just saying the consistency. I know what I'm getting from a floor standpoint. Cam Matthews, Riley Kugel, those guys are going to have to step up. You could have won last night, but overall, I mean, nothing to be too disappointed at. That was a Kentucky team that was hungry. They needed to go get that win. But I like where Chris Jans and them are at. I think 7-11, they'd probably be in. Mississippi State's getting comfortable enough where they could probably – they're not a lock yet, but I think they're very close to getting that point. I like where Chris Jans' squad is. One of the – overall, his best team in his 3 years. I mean, they're about to go to 3 straight NCAA tournaments in Mississippi State. They've done that since Rick Stansbury was there. And 3 for 3 for Chris Jans. Doing a phenomenal job. One of the best coaches in the sport and in our league as well. Going to number 6. They dropped a tough one last night, but Texas A&M comes into this one 1-1 this week. They finished 13-3 overall, 2-1 in league play, 17th in net. Again, their next 3 at Kentucky, LSU at home, and Ole Miss away. 1-2 feels like the floor. 2-1, you feel like Buzz Williams and the boys would feel good about that. I mean, what's the update on the Wade Taylor groin? I mean, that's what it sounds like. You talk to anybody close to that program. It's a lingering injury. He re-injured it. I think he injured it in December, re-injured it a week or 2 after. So I think they're kind of just letting it go again. Maybe you cost yourself a chance to really go play for the regular season title. Maybe. I mean, Auburn's going to have to go have those conversations. How long is Janai Broome out? We'll talk about that here in a minute. But for Wade Taylor, that's going to affect how I predict them at Kentucky, how I feel about them at Mississippi, at Ole Miss, or at Texas at the Moody Center. That's going to be different. And I thought they competed their tails off. I don't even think they played that bad last night against Alabama. Again, Zurich Phelps has been a beast for them. Farrell Payne, the Minnesota transfer, has been really good. 50% free throw shooter, but he was hitting his free throws last night, doing a really good job. Henry Coleman, Manny Abasaki, I mean, Hayden Hefner replaced his role, Solomon Washington, Jason Carter. I mean, again, they're going to shoot a lot of they're going to shoot. It's a kind of hero ball right now with Zurich Phelps, and when Wade Taylor in, it can be the Wade Taylor show. They just dominate the offensive boards, and last night was a war. Not too disappointed. You're 2-1. You lost to a top 5 team, probably the highest ceiling team in the country in Alabama, without your best player. Is what it is. Just need to be, if you want to go compete for the league, with or without Wade Taylor, to each his own, you have to go 2-1 of these next 3, I think, against Kentucky, LSU, and Ole Miss, and 2 of them being on the road, and the 2 toughest being on the road, Kentucky and Ole Miss. But I like where this team is. It's an NCAA tournament team. They're really fighting for seed. I just think that Wade Taylor injury probably sets them back for truly competing for the regular season title. Coming at number 5, the Kentucky Wildcats off a big win in Starkville last night. Kentucky finished 1-1 this week, dropping the one in Athens, but winning in Starkville last night. 13-3 overall, 2-1 in league play, 13th in the net rankings. Yep, 13th in the net rankings across the board from that perspective. I mean, what's there to say? My only question is that I love the offense, but I think they just put a lot of pressure on themselves to score 80 points a night. I just tweeted it out. Do you trust the Kentucky offense or the Tennessee defense more in this league right now? I think they're very similar on opposite ends of the spectrum from that perspective. But Kentucky's next 3 games here, hosting A&M at home, hosting Bama. So they get 2 tough ones, but they're both at home this week. Texas A&M, Alabama, and then you go at Vanderbilt. So 2-1 obviously would be a real case for Kentucky. Would they really want to be 3-0? They would love it. But defense will be key there. Lamont Butler, Amari Williams, Otega Oweh. Jackson Robinson played really well last night. Andrew Carr surprised him a little bit last night. I don't think a lot of people were thinking about that. Kerr Kriisa, when is he coming back? He kind of seems like he's that dude for them that has that chip on their shoulder kind of guy. When Kerr Kriisa comes back, that could potentially take Kentucky to the next level. I mean, I think I don't know how good they can be defensively, really. How good can they really be defensively this year? But I think when you're talking about that dog in you need a bucket in a road game, hell, even a home game this week against potentially A&M or Alabama. You need a big bucket. Somebody needs to check the team. I think that's Kerr. I think that's Kerr Kriisa. I think he is key. When he comes back, will be key to this team's ultimate ceiling. Right now, though, I got to keep him at 5, though, even with the big win against Mississippi State last night. Coming at number 4, the Tennessee Volunteers, Rick Barnes and the boys going 1-1 this week, 15-1 overall, suffered their first loss on the road in that blowout to Florida this week. 2-1 in league play, number 4 overall in the net rankings. What do you really want to say about Florida? I mean, I think Florida across the board here. Tennessee. Tennessee across the board here. I was looking at Florida real fast. Again, I just oppose the question. There's an offensive ceiling to this team, folks. There is. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a little flaw to this. Chaz Lanier puts a lot of pressure on him offensively to be that guy right now. They don't have a Dalton Connect. I even think the people with the brightest orange glasses would tell you that. They kind of supplemented it, but I think Igor Milicic has to get more involved in the offense. I trust the defense is more than I trust most things in life, not even just outside of basketball and sports. Rick Barnes' tenacious defense rebounding is always going to carry. It's just the offense, guys. I think there's a ceiling. I think it's a ceiling, and that's why I posed the question. Would you rather have the Kentucky offense but worry that you have to go score 80, 85 plus every night to win games against other good teams, or Tennessee where you put so much pressure on your defense? I don't know. I mean, you're making Chaz Lanier go off and have to be a mini version of Dalton Connect. I mean, the next 3 games, though, for the Vols, Georgia at home, Vandy away, Mississippi State at home. I think they would like to go 3-0 in them. And I know Mississippi State's a tough basketball team, but at home at the Tommy Bowl, I think after the way you lost to Florida, I think you need to have a good 3-game stretch here. I think you can get Georgia at home, and I think you can go win at Vanderbilt. 2-1 at worst. I think 2-1 at worst in that stream across the board. But Tennessee coming in at number 4 means some people are like, wow, they were number 1 in the AP poll last week. These guys in 4 in the power rankings. I've said it all year, man. I just don't trust the offense's ultimate ceiling against other good defensive teams. Number 3, the Florida Gators, baby. Coming in 2-0 this week, 15-1 overall, 2-1 in the SEC, 5th in the net rankings for the Gators. I mean, their next 3, Missouri at home, Texas at home, at South Carolina. That's a 3-0 stretch for the Gamecocks. Then they host Georgia for the 4th. I mean, that could be 4-0. They're sitting well to be competing for this title. I mean, they are. I imagine if they didn't lose the Kentucky game, which I didn't even get disappointed in that opening one. But, I mean, what don't you like about the Gators? I picked Arkansas yesterday to beat them. I just thought it was a must-win spot on the road for Arkansas. Thought Arkansas would play a little better. They came out firing, but give Florida them credit. Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin. I mean, we know Will Richard, the 3 big-time guards. Alex Condon has raised his level. I mean, I think Ruben Chinyulu, who came over the Washington State transfer, who wasn't even that productive last year, is turned into a really good player. Give Todd Golden them credit. That's a good basketball team. Denzel Aberdeen plays his role. Thomas Hawk plays his role. It's a really good Final Four team. I don't know if they'll win the regular season, but you say that. I mean, they have a real shot to go run off 4. Missouri at home, Texas at home, at South Carolina, Georgia at home. Could legitimately go in a 4-game win streak, and Tennessee gets a chance for revenge on Saturday, February 1st in Knoxville. Be a massive game. And that's a 3-game stretch after that for the Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Auburn game. You'll know after February 8th when they travel to Auburn again. Will Janai Broome even be playing in that game? We don't know. If the back half of the schedule of Florida is going to go competing for the title, I'm going to lean at this point. I love the way this team is. If they don't compete for the league title, they are legit at Final Four contender. And I think most people who watch the sport would tell you that. But I like Florida. I like Todd Golden's bunch. Feeling good. I feel like I want to say they're 3-0, but I know they're not. It's just I wasn't that upset about the loss in Lexington last week. It was just an overall good defensive performance. Number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide finished 2-0 this week, 14-2 overall, 3-0 in league play, 8th in the net ranking. So right now, the Alabama Crimson Tide, next 3, they host Ole Miss at home, a battle of 3-0s atop the SEC standings. Kentucky, they go on the road. Kentucky sitting 2-1 in league, and then they host Vanderbilt. And after that, they get to LSU in those 4. I know for some teams I did 3. I was just adding if there was a decent stretch after that. I think Alabama's got the highest ceiling in the sport, folks. They do a really good job. Again, a little scared last night with Clifford Amore going out with the rolled ankle. If he was out for a while, that changes them defensively. Not much offensively, maybe from an offensive rebound standing point, but they've done phenomenal this year. What are they ranked 18th in offensive rebounding? Alabama is the most flexible, deepest, highest ceiling roster. They can legitimately make the national title. They can legitimately win the national title. They can make it out of a Final Four appearance. The ceiling's through the roof. Say Auburn probably is a little bit higher floor when Janai Broome's playing, but I think right now Alabama at 2. I mean, without Janai Broome, I would definitely take Alabama to win this game, but I'm just factoring in long term. I'm still thinking Auburn is 1 here. So obviously, process of elimination would tell you Auburn's 1. You got to love where Alabama is, though, at the 2 spot, what they have coming up. Big game on Tuesday in Coleman, though, hosting Ole Miss. It's a big game for both teams. I think it's a real opportunity for Ole Miss. I think Alabama's got to have it. Alabama's in the hunt. I mean, they called their shot. They want to go win every championship they possibly can. The regular season title, the tournament in Nashville, and obviously the national title ultimately in San Antonio. But what else can you say about this team? Mark Sears is starting to turn into Mark Sears from last year. He's starting to turn it on. They've won, 7-8 straight now? What do we got? Yeah, I mean, hold on, man. Yeah, I mean, Alabama's just on fire right now. I mean, one of the better teams in the country. They haven't lost since Oregon. They lost the buzzer beater at Oregon, or close to a buzzer beater in Oregon in the Players Era Festival. I mean, Alabama's going to be in this. Again, I bring it up all the time. Who would you take, Alabama, Auburn, or the other 14 teams if you're betting? I said, hey, here's $1 million, Johnny Smith. You got to go bet it on either Alabama or Auburn to win the SEC regular season, or the other 14 teams. Who you taking? I'm taking Alabama or Auburn. Feel pretty good about that one. But Nate Oates' team's rolling right now. These lulls, they got to keep their foot on the gas, though, when they got some teams down. They got up 15. They were up 15 with 7 minutes left in College Station. Could have put the hammer away against the Wade Taylorless A&M team and let them come back. Obviously, made it a game at the end. But you like where this team is. I mean, you do like where this team is across the board, though. They come in at number 2 right now. I do think without Johni Broome, Alabama would beat Auburn. But Auburn still, what they've done all season, I'm going to reward them. They come in at number 1 for me. They go 2-0 this week, 15-1 overall, 3-0 in league play, number 1 in the net rankings. I mean, what else does it really say? I mean, the big question, Johni Broome, but the next 3, Mississippi State at home, Georgia on the road in Athens at Stegman, and then Tennessee at home. I mean, how long is Johni Broome out? I think they're doing the MRI today. I've seen some people report it's a high ankle sprain. I've seen some say it's a low ankle sprain. That's going to be a big difference. Again, I worked in college football for 10 years, been around these type of injuries. High ankle sprains can be lingering, folks. They can be very, very, very lingering. Low, he should be fine. But again, as we all know, basketball, a very change of direction sport, that aggravates an ankle sprain, especially a high one, folks. So that'll limit him to some extent. Does it take Auburn out of the regular season title race? I don't know, because I think we're really going to get tested. Like Dylan Carwell, Chaney Johnson, I think one of the more improved players in the league. They're going to get challenged with the depth here without Johni Broome, because the whole team revolves around Johni Broome. The whole offense rolls to him. I mean, again, Miles Kelly can shoot well. I mean, Denver Jones can shoot well. It's a high pepper. We know about all those guys. But Johni Broome's going to be the tone breaker. Bruce Pearl may have to make a tough decision. Like, do we keep Johni Broome out maybe an extra week? I mean, he's going to miss this week, but do we keep him out when they're saying difference between anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks or 3 to 4, depending if it's high or low? Remember that, guys, when those reports come out. That'll be the difference maker. Do you keep him out for a longer term and kind of just, you know what, we're going to throw our I hate saying that. We're not going to throw our towel in on the SEC regular season, but we have national title goals. You got to get Johni Broome healthy. Because remember, Alabama 2 years ago with Brandon Miller, he had a groin injury. And this isn't a groin, this is an ankle, but just he had a groin injury. It lingered in the NCAA tournament. Alabama couldn't afford to rest him because they were on a win-or-go-home standpoint after the SEC tournament title game against A&M. But it lingered, and that hurt them. He wasn't the same. It's early in the season. You don't want that for Johni Broome. You hate seeing one of the best players. He was playing the best of anyone in the sport right now. How long will he be out? That'll be key, and I think that's everybody's question over there. But, guys, that is 1 through 16 in the SEC basketball power rankings as of today when I'm recording this, January 12th. So let's just go review it quickly. Coming in at number 16th, LSU, 15th, South Carolina, 14, Texas, 13, Arkansas, 12, Oklahoma, 11, Vanderbilt, 10, Missouri, 9, Georgia, 8, Ole Miss, 7, Mississippi State, 6, Texas A&M, 5, Kentucky, 4, Tennessee, 3, Florida, 2, Alabama, and 1, Auburn. Folks, we will post this graphic from our social media accounts tomorrow. This video will be up very soon, guys. But I appreciate you joining us. Remember, guys, this SEC basketball power ranking segment is brought to you by our buddies over at GameTime app. Download the GameTime app and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Tell them your buddies over at SECU sent you. They do a phenomenal job. But, guys, for your host, Dave Shumate, I love bringing these power rankings every week. I hope you have a great rest of your week.